I look forward every morning on waking up and getting up into the mountains and being on the trails. I can tell you about all the amazing and hidden gems in southern Utah. At the root of it, that's why I do this. My name's Hayden Hawks, and I'm a professional ultra mountain trail runner. I went to the university here, Southern Utah University, mostly for the team and for the altitude. I can get a good mix of everything, which is big for me because I run all around the world. I race in the deserts, I race in the mountains, I race in the jungles. I mean, that's the only thing I can't get here is jungle. There's so many good endurance athletes that live here. We got a good community. Hey, some of my boys right there. Actually, I train with those guys quite often, actually. The passion goes beyond the process and it becomes more of just the environment around me, the little sounds and the feeling of the dirt underneath my feet.
Hayden's always been the smallest, skinniest kid, but the most aggressive.
He was big into baseball. He didn't make the baseball team one year, and then he just was kind of lost for a second.
I was pretty devastated because I had these dreams of growing up of being a professional baseball player. But I had a friend who was running cross country at the time. He was a little older than me. And he invited me to come run with him. And he said, you know, practice is at 5 a.m. And I was like, 5 a.m.? Like, I'm not waking up that early. I've never woke up that early. I was like, you know, maybe I should do this and try it out. I remember at the end of practice, I was just destroyed. I think I threw up a couple times and was like, man, this is hard stuff. And I think I only ran like 3 miles at the time, but I actually stayed with the top guys for the entire practice.
And from there on, he was just like, Dad, I'm gonna do this.
I thought, you know, it was a crazy thing, but I love that he followed his dreams. He's very driven.
You know, intense, I guess to say, is one word too to describe it. That's kind of his personality. He's all in a lot of times, like everything he does.
I actually got a scholarship to run at SUU. Hayden ended up being on the track and field and cross-country team at SUU as well. We were actually traveling to a meet, and we stopped for dinner on the way home, and we got to this restaurant, and he's like, okay, you know, let's play like this paper football game, and if I win, I get to take you on a date. So he ended up winning, just barely, and the rest is history.
I sat down with my wife after I graduated from college, after my final track race at Southern Utah University. She was like, so what's next? I said, to be honest with you, babe, like, I don't know if I really want to go to medical school. Like, that's not my dream, that's not my passion. And she said, well, what is? And I said, I want to be a professional runner. And she's like, okay, sounds good, let's do it. So I told her, I said, we're gonna be broke. There's not a lot of sponsorship opportunities. I mean, you have to be one of the best in the world. It's gonna be a lot of hours and I might not be home very much. Is that okay with you? And she said, 100%. She said, I will support you in anything you wanna do.
In July of 2016, he entered the Speed Goat 50K up in Salt Lake.
It's a pretty intense race, and so it only makes sense, right, that he would be kind of attracted to that intensity.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I had heart, and I had a passion, and I had a love for the mountains, and that's what I was feeding off of.
He went up, and I'm watching this race on the live feed, and he's like the first one to the top.
I was just wearing a St. George Running Center singlet, like no sponsors, competing against all these other sponsored guys.
And they were saying things about him like, oh, he's gonna die, like on the feed, and who is this guy? Like, he's not gonna last the whole race. I'm like, I'm not sure if he knows what he's doing either.
I took that as motivation, and I said, well, I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna win this race. I won the race, got the prize money. You know, I called my wife after, I said, I got the money, like, we can pay rent now, you know, and she was all excited.
Hoka comes to him after and is like, hey, we'd like to sponsor you. And so that was just kind of the beginning where we're like, okay, well, maybe you've got like a talent for this ultra running thing.
And then I signed up for the biggest 100K, which is 62 miles, and I won that race in my debut. I kept signing up for the biggest and baddest races in the world. I've had a lot of injuries. It's not an easy sport. You know, when you're running in the mountains for 20 plus hours, when I'm out there, I will pray and I will ask, you know, my Heavenly Father, like, hey, can you help me get through this moment? I try to always put God first in my life. My family and my faith mean more to me than anything.
It's a big part of just the balance in our life and just a big part of what's important to us.
He does bring something really unique to the sport when it comes to his faith. He's not scared to talk about it openly.
I've had a lot of people from other faiths reach out to me and say, I'm a Christian, and I really appreciate how you share your beliefs, how you show that you're a family man. You're a good example to me, or whatever it is. It really does mean a lot to me because I try and just be the best person that I can be. Oh yeah, look at that one. I thought you'd like that one. Guess what? I picked that one out for you. That was the first one I chose.
What?
Yeah, because I was thinking about you.
One of the biggest things I've learned from Hayden is to just dream big and believe you can do stuff. Don't let anything stop you from doing what you want to do in life.
I'm a huge dreamer, and I dream of exploring all these amazing places in the world. I dream of just being on the trails, and that's what I look forward to every single day. Set aside the wins and the accomplishments. Probably means more to me when someone comes up to me and says that I'm a good example to them or a good example to their children. And really, when it's all said and done, nobody's probably gonna remember the wins anyways, but they're gonna remember who I am as a person and how I treated them, because that's who I wanna be when it's all said and done, is I wanna be a person that people respect and look up to, and that people say that I was a good person. And I think that's what means the most to me.